So I am Rajkumar Reddy. So I will be your instructor for this course. So today I will try to understand mostly like uh, first I will try to understand like where you are. So based on that I will come to know what things I have to cover, and then I will mostly try to give you an idea what is all about CyberArk PAM, what things we are going to do with that. Okay, so that once you know what this course is all about, then that's a good start so that we can go ahead and learn the things on it. Okay, so yes, can you please go on mute, please? Okay, so before starting this course, guys, after every concept or at the end of the course, most probably I will give you the time to question me for if you have any doubts or clarifications required. I will be answering. Okay, or in between, if you get any questions, you just put it in the chat once after the concept completion or the at the end of the session. I will pick them up and try to give you the clarifications. Okay, so that the flow will not be disturbed. And the second thing, if there is any question which is unanswered for this session, and if something required research for those to answer before those questions, those will be answered in the next session. Okay, so with that understanding, so let's get started. Let me just share my screen. I hope you people are able to see my screen. Okay, yes, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so what I'm trying to do is that, so like as an introduction, so before starting about or talking about what is a CyberArk privileged access management, so we need to understand some of the things, so which is dependent on the Windows administration, basics of Windows administration, and some of the networking part. Okay, if you don't know about what do you mean by server, or what do you mean by port, firewalls, protocols, or maybe some other how to add a user, how to provide accesses or LDAP, don't worry, we will cover all of those as part of this course. Okay, today I'll try to give you the introduction of the course, and tomorrow onwards we'll start the prerequisites like the Windows administration part, later on the networking part, and then we'll try to demonstrate on the Active Directory or the domain controller. Later we'll get into the concept of the CyberArk privileged access management. Okay, so first, to understand what is privileged access management, we'll start with our scenario. So let me just open the Painter. Let's say if you take any organization, so let's say you joined as a employee to some XYZ organization, let's say. So as soon as you join an organization, so they will give you a mail ID, right? So let's say, for example, let's say raj.acme.com. Let me just take a smaller one. Okay. So, and then they will provide you a laptop, and initially they will provide you a temporary password as well to connect to this laptop. Okay. So if you observe, for example, let's say how you connect to your personal computer. So by default, they will create a user called Dell if it is a Dell laptop. Okay. And without password. Then what you do, you set a password of your choice to that account, or else you create your own username and then you set your own password and then you connect to the laptop. Okay, but when organization provides you a laptop, so you basically don't connect as a Dell or some other user. So whatever the email they have provided, so you connect to that using that username and the temporary password. As soon as you log into the laptop for the first time, You have to reset your password, and then your new password will work as your password for your account. Okay. Now my question is like, by default in this server, there is no raj.acme.com or the at the rate acme.com. So how this user is able to connect to the server? Even tomorrow, if some other guy tries to connect to it, if he also should have got a email ID from the same organization, because he's also an employee for this organization. Let's say Suresh at the rate acme.com, let's say. So he will be also able to connect to this laptop, not just Rajkumar. So this is possible. How this is possible? For that, first you have to understand two things. One is a local user. Second one is a domain user. Okay. Local user is the one who created in the laptop. For example, in this case, Dell is created locally by the manufacturer for the first time, and later on you have created your own user. Or maybe you can also have by default administrator in some of the systems by default. So these are all the users created in the system itself. Those we call it as local users, since these users are local to this computer. And now I am talking about Raj at the rate acme.com or Suresh at the rate acm.com. These users are not created in the laptops because it's not possible, since there will be lakhs of people working for an organization, and it's very impossible to create lakhs of accounts in the each server or each laptop. Okay, what they do is that in their organization they will create a database kind of stuff. Okay, of that we call it as a active directory. You know the directory, right? Like for example, if you open any book, there will be a directory based on the numbers, page numbers. You will be able to go to that specific page and get the details about it. In the same, its active directory is like a directory. We call it as a database because it's storing some data. What data it stores is that it stores these raw user details. So Suresh, Rajkumar, and so on. It stores all these details, not just users. It also keeps the record of the all the computers or the laptops, whatever we have. Okay, laptop one, laptop two. It can be laptop or it can be desktop. Okay, it also stores these computer details as well. And then what they do, they provide the accesses. Okay, Suresh can log into these two laptops or all of them. Raj can log in only to this or all of them. So that accesses they do in the active directory itself. Now when they provide you the laptop, okay, so whenever you try to connect to this laptop using your email ID and the password, first the request goes to the active directory which is available in the organization. It validates whether Raj has access to this laptop one or two or whatever it is. Okay, let's say this is L3. It verifies whether Rajkumar has access to L3 or not. If he has access, then it allows him to connect to this laptop. Otherwise, it fails. Okay, so that's the process, and this is the traditional way of logging into any of the computer. Now, so let's say a user joined an organization and he got in a laptop. Let's say for now, let's keep this laptop outside. And then he should be part of a particular team, right? Or maybe a particular department. So there will be several departments like development, or maybe a tester, or maybe administrator, kind of system administrator, or maybe who actually maintains this AD or active domain controller, those called AD team, or maybe DevOps, or can be a network engineer. It can be who maintains the physical networks like routers, switches, or maybe internal internet connection things, who maintains it. And there are many. departments. Okay, there will be a product team, there will be many departments. Let's say Rajkumar joined and he is part of a developer team and he assigned to project A. Okay, so whenever he joined an organization, he got access to the laptop. That's his personal computer now, let's say PC. And later on, to do his duties related to the development, he needs to connect to several other tools or maybe the websites or maybe the servers. Let's say he needs to connect GitHub. GitHub is a source code repository. Basically, these people develop the code, right? They keep that code in this repository. Okay, not just this guy. Whoever is part of that team, they will be able to access that GitHub. Like we will provide the access for several team members on the GitHub. And he may also need to access database, let's say. Okay, since their application is using this database, let's say for now MySQL. Okay, he also need access for the database where database is installed. On this server, they have installed the database, and in a particular servers, they have installed the GitHub. Okay, and he also needs to the access for the application which he developed. Here there is only source code, but here they deployed the application which we are able to access on the browser like Amazon or Google. Those are the applications which are hosted or deployed in some servers. And what we deploy, mostly the built files of the source code. Okay, so and he may needs to get several other things where he needs access to complete his duties. Okay, now so how this guy gets access for all of them? Mostly he uses his PC, and from here he will connect all of these things. And whatever the things required, that organization will share with him. Let's say to connect to the database, he need a database server name or server IP, and he need a username and he need a password. And for the GitHub, again he need a URL, that is the website URL, and then the username and then the password. And again for the application as well, he needs the website URL, the application URL, and username and password. Now, these GitHub database or this application or these servers, everything also should add in the Active Directory. Let's say GitHub database and application and the servers. Now what they do is that they don't provide for each of them a different username or password. Okay, so he should be able to connect to the PC as well as to these all servers or the applications inside them with the same username and password what he got from the organization, that is rajkumar@acme.com. So now what they have to do, along with the PC, they also have to provide access for the GitHub database and as well as the application. Okay, once AD team provides the access for a particular member based on his team and the role, he gets the access for the multiple things, and he will be like accessing those with his own username and password. Okay, that's we call it as a single sign-on. Means you will have a single username and password and you will be connecting to all of them. Okay, now next thing, so for now what we understood is like in every organization there will be an Active Directory where the users, computers, or the applications or whatever, all these are all actually stored in the Active Directory, and related permissions as well are stored in the Active Directory. Okay, sorry. Now a user who joins an organization, AD team should provide access to the users who are actually recorded in the AD for the particular computers or applications or whatever he needs to access to complete his duties. Now there is a second thing. To access a server or a database or whatever application or whatever you take it, you can connect using the whatever the username I said, rajkumar@acme.com. And there is another way that you can also connect this user using another accounts or another username which is created either inside of the server or even some other users which is created in Active Directory, specifically created to access these kind of servers. Let's say instead of a specific user, let's say administrator, or let's say Linux user, or let's say Tomcat. So these are all the different users, not specific to any user, but those are created specifically to access a specific servers. Okay, 1 second please. Now I will show you a demonstration so that you will understand it better. For example, let's say I got two servers here. One is a Windows server, one is a Linux server, and I need to connect to them. So one way is with the active Directory username, that is rajkumar@acme.com. Second way is that I am going to use a different user. Either it can be created inside the server or in the Active Directory. Okay. So for example, for this, so this is the IP address and this is the username. This is the password which I am going to use to connect to the server. So I am means who is I am Rajkumar, but I'm not connecting with my username or password. I'm connecting with other username or password which is specifically defined to access a specific things on the server. Let's say for Rajkumar, there is only a basic access is he can just log into the server, but he can't install any software. And if I use administrator, and as administrator, he got the full access on the server, he can do anything, whatever he wants to do that on that. So in cases, if I want to install softwares, either I should get administrator access for my rajkumar@acme.com, or I should use another account which is dedicatedly created to do that kind of stuff. Okay. Now let's see how to connect a Windows server or how to connect a Linux server. Don't worry guys, I will again cover what is a server, what is a Active Directory, how to set up everything I will cover. Okay. So to connect to the Windows servers, we have a something called connectors called as RDP. This we call it as a remote desktop protocol. So remote desktop connector. So we use this remote desktop protocol to connect to the Windows server. And to connect to the Linux server, we use PuTTY. Mostly we use PuTTY, or we can also use WinSCP. Okay. And there are several tools which helps to connect to the Linux servers. And to connect to the Windows server, you need a username and password along with the server IP. What is the server IP is like? For example, if I want to identify you guys, how I can identify? You have a unique name with a surname and then the name, and even to identify you specifically, you have some address, okay, where you reside. In the same way, in the internet, if you want to identify a specific server, because there will be hundreds of servers, but how you know if you want to connect to a specific server? So there should be an IP address, that's the address of the server in the internet. So using this IP address, you will be able to reach a specific server with this username and password. Okay, 1 second. So I got cold today. Okay. So now, first I have to open the RDP. where it is available in every Windows machine. By default, RDP will be available. If it is not available, then go to the Google and download the remote desktop connection. Okay, let's open. So here you have to provide the computer IP address. So my IP address is this one. So this username by default it's showing, or you can just show options. It will show you username. You can change the username if you want it, or if you don't provide it, no problem. It will ask you the next step. When you click on the connect, it will ask you to enter the username and password. Okay, the administrator is the username. If you want to use a different username, you can go for the more choice and use a different account, and you enter the user. Okay, I entered administrator username and password, which I got from them is CyberArk 1, and then click OK. Say OK. Okay, so you connected to a server, so okay, which is created and given by the organization for you, where it might be you might have installed or deployed your application, or you might have something else here to manage or to maintain the server. Okay, so this is how you connect to the Windows server. Okay, and we also call it as a virtual machine. I will talk about it, what is a virtual machine, what is a physical machine later in point. For now, you just understand how to connect our Windows server. Okay, now next thing, it will be similar to your laptop, guys. Everything will be whatever you see in your personal computer, you will see it like this only. Okay, you can work, you can do anything. If you just open the file explorer, you have the C folder by default. There is only one disk. You can split that into multiple if you want it, but for now I just got only 30 GB of hard disk. Okay, now let's see how you connect a Linux machine. So basically Linux machine also can work with username and as well as password, but mostly the usual way is like they connect the Linux machines using username and a key. Okay, so I will tell you, they will provide you the key. I will tell you how the key looks like. For example, if you just go to the downloads, so this key provided by the your organization. Okay, don't worry. Okay, there is a key called Linux server N key. This is my private key which I need to use to connect to a Linux server. Okay, basically what it contains is like, for example, this is a similar one. If I just open, you see there is a long text. It's actually a private key. Okay, so that's the thing which is actually available even inside this one. Now let's see how you can connect using this key. Okay, so you should be able to connect from the putty, but putty will not be available in your system by default. Okay, so you have to install it from the Google. So let's go to the Google putty download, and it opens the putty. So download the putty, and when you click on the download putty, it will show you the Windows installers available. You choose the 60-bit 86 architecture and click on it, and it gets downloaded. Okay, once it is downloaded, you just click next, click run, and do next. That's it. Next, you open the putty. So try to always run as administrator so that you will not face much issues. And here you have to provide your IP address. So my IP address is this one. And forget about port for now. I will tell you later. But by default, it should be 22 for the Linux server. And then go to the SSH, and here there is something called authentication. Okay. So if you click on the credentials, it will show you private key file for authentication. Okay. Under the authentication credentials, browse, provide your key. So I think this one. Okay. Open and open. Accept. So okay, it's asking login as which user, because I never entered username. I just entered the public IP and then given the password key. Now I say EC2-user. This is the user by default created in the system. Okay. Now see, I am into some inside a Linux server. I can run some Linux commands here. I can create a file. I can list the files. I can see that file 1 is created, and I can again create another file. I can do ls. I can see 2 files. Okay. If I want to see what is there in the file, I can just do cat file 1. There is nothing, so it didn't show anything. Okay. So this is how you connect to a Linux machine using username and key, not with the password. But if you want to connect to the password, yes, you can do. There is a process. First, you have to set a password, and then you have to enable the password authentication. So that's not the point for this course. Okay. For now, you just understand how you can connect a Windows server, how you can connect the Linux server. And to connect to the Windows server, you need something called RDP and username, password, and IP address. And to connect a Linux server, along with the server details, you also need PuTTY or WinSAP or something to connect to it. Most of them uses the PuTTY. Okay. Now, one part is completed. What is that? So how you connect a laptop or a server, if it is a Windows or Linux, how you connect, you understood now. You should need a password. Now the challenges with this is, so there is a possibility to hack your password and easily enter into the servers. Okay. And what they do with the servers, let's discuss now. For example, there are a different roles, I said, right? For example, let's say there is a standard user and there is a super user. Okay. And there is an application user, let's say, and there is some service accounts. I will tell you what those are. The standard user can be a tester who can log into the server and can perform his actions, but he can't install any software. He can't remove anything or he can't delete anything. Okay. He can't perform delete. He can't perform update. He can just read. Okay. So that kind of user, we call it as a standard user. When it comes to the super user is the one kind of administrator for the Windows and root user for the Linux, who have unlimited access on those servers, who can install anything, who can update, who can destroy anything on the server. Since they are the administrator, they got the full access. So that kind of a server user, we call it as a super user. 1 second. Next, when we call about application user, this user is specifically created to access some sort of applications. Maybe if we are developing Amazon, maybe to access that application, Amazon application, or maybe in Amazon there might be a multiple softwares, like one for the payment, one for the, like, what do you say, the sellers, one for the users. So to access these applications, there will be a user created and he will be useful to connect to these applications. There is something called service accounts. This service account is not actually for the users. For example, let's say you go to let's say Central Mall, you buy something, and you gave him a payback points card. Okay. So this payback point card is not the central provided one. So this is provided by some other company called Payback. Now, whenever you provide the payback, it has to connect to the payback servers and gets the points amount whatever is available in this payback card. Okay, based on that, so Central Mall will redeem those points or amounts and give you the discount. So how it happens? Because here user is not directly contacting any system. One system is trying to contact with another system. Central Mall is trying to connect with payback points system. So in that cases, how it connects using the service accounts. So payback point will create a service account and provides the access for the Central Mall. So that Central Mall can use the service account and connects to the payback point and gets the information whatever it is required. So service accounts, just like another standard or super user kind of account, but it is defined specifically for the services, not for the users. Okay. So that's the different types of users we have it. Now the main problem with is not with the standard users, since they just can read, they can't do anything. When you talk about super user, okay, there is a main problem because they can do anything on the servers. Now let's say there is a critical server, let's say database of HDFC, and there is a user who is connecting to the database using administrator username and some password. Now if a hacker can get this password, then he can easily enter into the database and he can delete the data, or he can change the balances whatever he has in his account or maybe another accounts, or he can transfer money from other users into his account since he got administrator's access on this. Okay, this user might be a manager or maybe someone in the bank. Let's say he got full access. So this is the main problem with the password. How he can hack the password? Because this user might set a weak password so that he can remember the password, or maybe he can save in his mobile to remember it, or maybe he can save this password in his personal computer so that he can remember. If his personal computer is vulnerable, he might open anonymous websites and hackers can get into his PC and they can store the password. And there is another thing, like he can also share his password with another employees in the same organization. That time also there is a possibility that hackers can hack the password. Okay, or maybe this user is not is maybe a clerk, not a manager kind of, but when the manager is on vacation, he shared his password with the clerk to perform some action. He did that action, but after that something happened to the server got down. He doesn't know what to do after that because he's not expert on it. So the server went down. Why it happened? Because this manager shared his credentials with someone else who is not authorized to perform that action. Okay, this is internal kind of hack. Okay, to stop these internal policy violations or to not expose for the hackers, expose the passwords for the hackers, CyberArk came into the picture with a solution called PAM, privileged access management. Because the issue is there for the privileged access accounts. Privileged access means the users who have unrestricted permissions. They can do anything. Who are they? They are the administrators or super users or root users. They can do anything. So we have to protect them. How? That's solution given by the CyberArk with the help of PAM. So you have a privileged accounts. It can be administrator, whatever it is. We will manage them. This is a privileged account management. Okay, a privileged access management, which is provided by the CyberArk. There are many solutions like Beyond Trust. Okay, Beyond Trust is the one, or maybe Delinea, we call it as, or Thycotic, you might already know. So Thycotic, or recently they named it as Delinea, or Beyond Trust, or there are many other things as well, which actually provides the similar thing. But one of the top CyberArk security management thing is privileged access management. Okay. So now if I ask you like, what is the privileged access management? You should know about it. Like, instead of connecting a server using username and password, you should be able to connect the server without username and password. And that solution will be provided by the privileged CyberArk PAM. But without password, how you provide the security? Without password means, it doesn't mean that you don't enter the password. The system will enter the password, which never know by the user. User doesn't know what password the system enters. Okay, because system knows the password. System only resets the password. Does everything does by this PAM system. Okay, as a user, you don't know anything. You just click on the server, you will connect it. How it happens? Next, you should talk about roles and authorization. Based on the role, if you are a developer, or if you are a manager, or if you are an administrator, based on the role and which team you belongs to, which project you belongs to, okay, based on that, we will provide the access for those servers. So once we provide the access for these specific users on the servers, you will be able to see all the servers wherever you have access on. And when you just click on the connect, you will connect. So when you click on the connect, the username and password will be entered by the CyberArk PAM system, not by the connected user. Let me just show you the demonstration. So for example, so this is one of the sky type. This lab is provided by the CyberArk itself. Okay. So they have provided several servers here. Forget about them for now. We have to connect to, let's say this is our personal computer. I'm connecting to the personal computer. We just think like that for now. So I will enter my administrator password. So the password is always CyberArk1. In this, I will also tell you how you can get this lab, and this will come up with the 48 hours of duration. Within 14 days, you can use it. Okay. Let's connect. Okay, let's say now I have connected to my personal computer. And from here, I just open the browser. And there is a CyberArk website, or the PAM website. Let's say I will just enter. This is my website. Okay. I have to connect using different authentication methods. LDAP is nothing but Active Directory. If your user is created in Active Directory, you use the LDAP username. As I said, whenever you join an organization, they will create an email ID that will be available in Active Directory, which is nothing but a LDAP. I will tell you what is LDAP, why they named it as LDAP instead of Active Directory or something else. Okay. Or if this user is created inside the CyberArk itself, CyberArk setup, then you can use the CyberArk. Okay. So let's go with CyberArk, as I have a CyberArk administrator username and password. So whatever I'm entering, I'm still entering the password, but this is not for my end server. Remember, guys. So my goal is I want to connect to the database server, one of the Windows server, or maybe some other Linux server. Not this one. Okay, this is just a web application. Here you will enter as your username and password only. So you can get a doubt that, okay, what happens if somebody hacks this username and password and they can also connect to that? Yes. So right now we have only username password authentication here, but in real time, you will also have a additional authentications, like you need to enter some OTP or maybe some grid you have to enter. There will be different ways. Those we call it as multi-factor authentications, not just username password. We also have to enter some OTPs or something. Okay. Now I have logged into the CyberArk's system or the website, and I logged in as an administrator. And by default, I got access to these servers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 servers. Okay. For example, let's say this is the server which I want to connect. Previously, I connected this server using my username and password. Now, if I just click on connect, it will ask you the reason why you are connecting to it. Let's say to perform Windows patches. Okay, connect. As soon as you click on it, it will download RDS. Connect and click on that. RDS is like that remote desktop. Okay, it downloads the remote desktop. And if you wait some time, it's connected. Okay, you did not enter any password. You connected automatically to this server. Got it? So now who entered the username and password? Who entered it? So that we will be onboarding. So this uses the administrator username. And if I just open this one, if I go to the classic interface, there will be a password. And it doesn't visible for everyone, guys. As I have logged in as administrator, I'm able to see. But for most of the other users, it will be hidden. They don't know what password it is using. And this password rotates every 90 days or 60 days, 30 days, whatever you set it. And system itself will change the password of this server every 30 days. Okay. And as a user, you don't know anything. You just go to the accounts. So here we have accounts. Let me just try to make it as a better one. Now it become a little bigger. So if you click on this accounts, so accounts view, you will be able to see the accounts. Account is nothing but here a server. You got access for these 5 servers. Let's say one may be Windows database, one is application, or one is Linux or something else. Okay. So that's the solution which is provided by the CyberArk. Now, what you are going to learn in the from the next session onwards, I have shown you what is the traditional way using username and password. I also have shown you how you actually connect the same server without password from the CyberArk website. So next thing is like, I will walk you through the traditional authentication first. I will set up the Active Directory. I will create some servers. I will set up the access thing. I will show you how this is happening traditional way. And then slowly I convert the traditional authentication method into the CyberArk authentication. And I will show you the demonstration again, whatever I have shown you now. So that's it all about this course, guys. Okay. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me now, and then we'll talk about how you practice the lab. So if you got any doubts, you can ask me, or if you don't understand any terminologies, you just let me know. So everything I will cover from the next day onwards, because I have to come from the scratch. Like I should cover the administrative things. I should cover what is a server, what is a virtual server, what is a port number, what is IP address, what is a firewall. Everything I will cover. Okay, even LDAP, whatever you heard today, I will cover most of the things again in the next session onwards. Okay, so what I just want to understand is like, guys, have you got any idea like what is the privileged access management and what is the traditional authentication method? How you are going to resolve that with the uh, what do you say, the CyberArk? Have you got an idea? Guys, do you have any doubts? So if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Meanwhile, I'll just, okay. So you like a, let's say if you have installed Apache server or Tomcat server, or maybe you install database, or maybe you install application, whatever you install on that Linux server. So it can be anything, but you have to connect to that Linux server to operate something. Maybe just you are connecting Linux server just to perform some patches or OS patches, or maybe to upgrade your system, or maybe to perform something. It depends on the role what you are doing. If you are a Linux administrator or system administrator, you mostly log into the server for the maintenance purpose. You upgrade the OS, you upgrade other softwares available in it. Like for example, in Windows we have Adobe Reader, we have several things. We will upgrade them to the latest version, and we will also download the latest OS patches and install them frequently, right? So that does by the system administrator. If you are a developer, why you connect to the Linux machine? You to check the your Apache or Tomcat server status, whether your application is live or not. For that purpose, you connect. Or if he is a different user, like maybe network team guy, if something is not working with this Linux server, he connects to it and he will verify the network things and then he will close it. So the purpose is dependent on the role of the user. Okay, based on that, he does the things on the server, and based on that only he gets the accesses. I hope you understand. Any other doubts, guys? Okay. So if you don't have any questions, and that's it for today, guys. See you tomorrow. And mostly we will cover with the demonstrations. It's not like a theoretical part. We'll start with the demonstrations. The thing which I like expect from you guys, if you don't understand anything, or if you're not getting some terminologies, or if you're not able to understand the concept, just let me know. Or you can also even personally send a WhatsApp message for me, whatever the questions you have it. Or you can even raise those questions with Lokeshwar and he can share with me so that I can understand your skills, and based on that I can cover the topics. Okay. So for now I'm covering from the basics. That's why I did not ask you what things you know already, what things you don't know. I didn't put a poll as I am starting from the scratch. But still, if you don't understand those basics, then let me know. I will go a little deeper and start from the even basics of it. Okay.
And what are the tools we are going to be used here, bro?
So for the privileged access management setup itself uses a multiple tools inside. It's not like a tools. Those are all
Mm-hmm.
the servers we set up. For example, I did not give you a full introduction about the privileged access management, what it does. For now, I just said that it's avoiding the password management, but not just password. There are many things does by the privileged access management, like a live monitoring of, like if you connect to any server, it it provides you the video based live monitoring. You can do the live monitoring, or you can also come back and see all the videos, who did what, which user logged in into. You can get the auditings, you can get the reports, you can see what user has access on what. So there are a lot of stuff, and there are many there are several layers how it protects the account. We talk all about them. For majorly for this we will install several servers, one for the web application. Right now whatever you have seen it, that's the one of the application. So this is also we have to set up. Okay, this we only will set up. This is one of the thing website. And next thing, for there is a password rotation, we'll have another server. And for session establishment, like when you just click connect, it actually makes you connect to that server, right? That thing will be done by the different server component, and auditings will be done by the other component. So there will be many components. For example, if you just go to the health status, It will show you some of the things. Okay, there is a primary server and the DR server. There are two servers, which is our database, and this is web portal. That is what we are able to see. It's showing whether it is working or not. And there is something called CPM, something called PSM, something called PTA. Okay, so these are the different servers we will be setting up to make this CyberArk PAM works. Okay,
Got it. Thank you for clearing.
no problem. Any doubts, guys?
Hi Rajkumar, yeah, Balu this side.
Yeah.
So basically, this PAM is a part of SOC or it is a different team?
See, like these are all actually part of cybersecurity. So how you secure your servers, there are n number of solutions, and this resolves one of the solution which is coming with the passwords and the monitoring responsibility, like who is doing what. That audit is missing, so that is actually mainly solving by this PAM solution.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, guys. Lokeshwar?
Uh, Raj, you said like these are the component like this will be covered, right?
Yes.
That real-time scenario that what are the that things to be covered, like kind of the troubleshooting.
Yeah, those will cover. Like first we set up the thing, and then once the setup is completed, then we will actually onboard these accounts. And
Okay.
if these users fail to connect them, then I will tell you what are the ways it can fail and how you actually start the debugging, how many ways it can fail. Like for any failure, there will be minimum 10 plus reasons. Okay, how you can filter out those 10 reasons, that I will teach you.
Okay. Okay. So okay, these are the privilege account. Like what about the cloud also that it will be covered in this session?
Okay, that I
Cloud.
will be okay. I just missed about this practice lab. So for now, whatever the CyberArk is on the on-premises, guys, not on the cloud. So for the cloud, some of the organizations move to the cloud like AWS or Azure. So they have a different softwares for the cloud, and for the on-premises, those are different. Okay. So when it comes to the practice lab, what we do is like this is the free lab, which you all guys can get it, but this is pre-installed. Everything is already set up. But what you can do, you can create account. Okay, you can add the accounts and you can test it, or you can go to and log into this each servers, whatever is set up over here. For example, you can connect to this primary server, you can connect to the CPM or web portal app or whatever. You can connect to each of them. You can check the logs, you can check the configuration files, you can check everything. Okay, you can't install, but once installation is done, whatever I do, those all things you can do this. Okay, but if you want to also install, then you have to use one of the cloud provider like AWS, Azure, or digital version or whatever, and I will be using the AWS. I will teach you a minimum things what you need to basically create the servers on the AWS, and you can also manage it on your local computer as well by creating a virtual servers. But I don't prefer this way, because to support creating a several virtual machines on your computer, it should be a supercomputer. Like you should have a good amount of RAM, CPU power, and you should have a minimum SSD hard disk. Even I have a SSD hard disk. I have almost like a 16 GB of RAM. Still, when I tried it, my system got hacked. So that's why. So I don't encourage you to practice it in your local systems and create these virtual machines. but I will give you an idea how you can actually create servers on your local machine, the virtual servers, and use it. Okay, but we will be following like we will be using AWS, and we will be setting up all the CyberArk architecture on the AWS. Once it is setup is completed, then there will be no difference on AWS or on the CyberArk lab or on any other virtual machines. That's answers for your question.
Yeah, Raj.
Okay.
Actually, yeah. One thing like using that AWS, can we use the local account which need to be onboarded in the CyberArk? Is that kind of the account which
Yeah,
will
because
be
those servers are also created in AWS only, and
okay?
each account should have a local user, and we'll use that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So right now, like initially, I have shown you connecting to these servers, right? So these are actually AWS servers only. I have created on the AWS server, and whatever you see administrator or EC user, those are local users to it. Okay. I couldn't connect them using a Active Directory user since that setup hasn't done. I have to install Active Directory, and then I have to provide users access for these servers. Then I will be able to access these servers with a different user other than the administrator. Okay. So that's the traditional authentication method. For now, I just show you only with the local user account, but I will also have to show you with LDAP account. I mean the Active Directory account that will be showing you in the next part.
Fine. Raj. The last one, like, is there any period of the lab session will work post the configuration?
So this one, it's available in the CyberArk University. So if you just let me just if you just do CyberArk University and search, you will see a CyberArk University. If you open it, so you create an account. Okay, so it's already logged in with my username and password. So you just go and log out. So sign out so that you will get a registration. First register it, and then when you connect, you will see this home page. And go and search here. The name of this course is, one second. Okay. Okay. So I'll just search it here. Under my courses also you can see that name of the course which I have subscribed to. So CyberArk remote access install and configure. This is the one which I am using. Okay. You can just note down this name, and if you search, you will get it, and this is for free. You just open it, and it contains the content. So here you have a lab under this part, but first you have to complete these two. You no need to read them, just drag the video to the end and then click next. You complete them, these three, and then automatically remote access install configure will open. Okay, once it is open, so here you will get launch and shutdown. Right now it is launched already. That's why you are able to see in the it in here. Okay, so that's why I got a shutdown. Otherwise by default you just get only launch option. Click on the launch option, it will open you this. I mean you will get view all virtual. You will get this homepage, and from here you can connect to these components. That's where our website is available. I told you like there are different components. That is one. This is the domain controller. This is the primary server, which is Vault, and there are several components inside this only. CPM and other things are installed. They have installed in this. Okay. We will be installing the same servers like this, but not just 3. We will be creating minimum 5 servers. Okay. Right now they have installed 3 servers inside this, and this is 4th and this is 5. But we will install those 3 in a separate servers so that it will be easy for you to understand. Okay, this is free, but they have already installed and set up everything. But in AWS, you can install yourself these all things and integrate things to work together. Okay, this is for free. But when it comes to the AWS, so AWS is not for free. So there will be some of the servers is free, but some of the servers you have to pay money. But the bill comes around like after 2 months, after 2 months, and it's not mandatory to pay the bill. If you want to continue with the AWS account, same account, you clear the bill, you may get around 1500 or 2000 max based on your usage, because you start now, and after this session I will also stop the servers so that I will not get a bill. It's hourly based, so you use it for 1 hour, 2 hour, and you stop the servers so that you will not get much bill. So once if you get, let's say you got 1500 or 2000 bill, and if you want to continue, you pay it. You don't want to continue, just leave the account, create a new account with a new email and the same debit card or credit card. You will be able to create another account. Okay, so there are two ways. Like, one, you pay the money, go with it. That's what I suggest. But if you want to just, you are doing it for the learning purpose and you can't pay, then you can go for the alternative way. But I suggest Lokesh to cut that from the recording. Otherwise AWS people will come on me. Does that clear it out? Hello?
Yeah. That's-
Okay, thank you. And let me just see, is there any other questions? So if these servers are shut down or offline, you can't connect. So you have to reach out to the AD team or maybe the concerned administrator team who actually start those servers. We are not responsible for the servers which are actually connecting by the users. For example, these are maintaining by us. So we have to make sure these are up and running. But whatever we are connecting inside the portal, we are not responsible. Those are the servers which is maintaining by the corresponding teams. So they will make sure that those servers are up and running. If those servers are not running, or in the active directory, if they don't in the active directory, if they don't have access to that particular server, they will not be able to access. First thing, they should have access from the active directory. Then only whatever the access we gave will work. Okay, so the server should be up and running, and the access should already be given by the active directory team for that particular user on that particular server. Then only our privilege will work. Okay, I hope all your questions has answered. Okay, so if you have a 3 to 4 years of experience, guys, please do a certification. Then you will get a like at least average calls, because right now the situation is very bad, I know, and I think you might also know. But if we have a certification, you will get a calls, and it's average of like a per month you may get 2 to 3 calls, I guess. But you can crack it. It's not that big deal when you have a certification. Most probably after this course, you can clear yourself minimum the defender certificate, and for the sentry you have to prepare a little bit more, or maybe you have to take help from someone to get more knowledge on it. Okay, because that's a L3 and advanced stuff you will get. You may be able to crack at least a 40% of the questions, but not the full. But for the defender, you can crack it easily when once you complete the course and you read some of the previous question papers or some of the questions. I will also tell you there are I think here itself there are some free courses. Let's say if I search defender, so and if I just filter with the type of free, I think I have to say free. Okay, it's introduction to CyberArk. Okay, maybe I might have already picked them up. Let me see in my courses. Cannot. Okay, but there are Defender courses, guys. So maybe just go to the public and you search it here. I think it's showing very less, but there are courses which are free. I think even 2 days back also I have seen it. There are like a one free session for the Defender practice. There are 75 questions you can practice. You can understand what kind of questions are coming up. And there is a one sample video for the like a Sentry as well. You can just practice those questions so that you will understand what kind of questions they're going to ask in the certifications. So you have to clear the certification, then you will get calls. Okay. Any other doubts, guys? So I'm just stopping the recording.